Hello everyone, this is Chris from Spoon Graphics back with another video tutorial for Adobe Illustrator, plus a little Photoshop if you stick around till the end. Today I'm going to show you how to create a colourful retro text effect with several text elements that are progressively spaced further apart and transition through the colour spectrum to produce a rainbow effect. It reminds me of the kind of design you might see on an old VHS tape box or an ad for an 80s technology brand. Illustrator's Blend Tool will be used to create the basic stacking text effect, but I'll also show you a trick to alter the spacing of the text with a cool easing effect, and show you how to give the vector artwork the look of an old damaged VHS tape box by adding textures in Adobe Photoshop. The textures I'll be using in this tutorial can be downloaded from my Spoon Graphics website by following the links in the description. The creased and tears that give the appearance of an old VHS box is from my set of retro 80s cover art textures. You can download this individual texture as a free sample, but check out the full pack of 15 cover art textures to replicate the appearance of old damaged VHS boxes, album covers, game boxes and book covers to create your own retro style artwork. To create this retro VHS inspired rainbow text effect, open up Adobe Illustrator and create a new document. Make the document size 2000 by 3000 pixels with the RGB colour mode so we have nice vibrant hues to choose from. Enter your desired wording with the type tool. I'm using the font Proxima Nova Extra Bold with the word colour set in regular. Give the text a white fill and move it off the artboard so you can actually see it. Draw a rectangle surrounding it and give it a black fill. Right click and choose Arrange, Send to Back to place it underneath the text. Select both the text and the rectangle and use the Align panel to centre them up. You may notice that they don't align right by default, but there's a relatively new setting under the Align panel menu. Choose Align to Glyph Bounds and Point Text. You'll now be able to line the text up centrally with the rectangle with an equal gap above and below. While these two objects are selected, right click and choose Group. Zoom out and hold the Alt and Shift keys to drag a copy vertically. We're going upwards rather than down because it will place the new copy on top, otherwise the stacking order will be wrong after the next step. Shift and click to select both groups and then go to Object, Blend and Make. Head straight back to Object, Blend and Blend options. Choose specified steps and set the value to something high like 20 or 30. You'll see how the black rectangle helps to generate a gap between each line of text, rather than have them completely overlap. To create the easing effect where the words get closer together towards the end of the blend, find the Convert Anchor Point tool from under the Pen tool group. Find the end point of the path that forms the blend effect and click and drag to add Bezier handles. Hold the Shift key to keep the line straight. The more you drag, the more densely packed the text will be at the bottom, and the more spread out they'll be at the top. Use the Direct Selection tool to select just the top text element that forms the blend. You can create a cool effect by simply swapping over the fill to a stroke to give just this top word an outlined appearance. Increase the stroke weight to 5 points to beef it up. Move the text effect into place on the artboard. If you want to see more ways you can create interesting text layouts like this, check out my video Retro Text Effects with Illustrator's Blend Tool. Draw a rectangle with a black fill to cover the artboard. Send it to the back to place it underneath the text. If you need to adjust the blend to better fit the artboard, right click and choose Isolate Selected Group. Here you can move one end of the blend to stretch or compress it. Click the little arrow icon in the top left corner to exit back out of the group. To create the colourful rainbow effect, draw a rectangle that covers the text. Give this rectangle a gradient fill, then begin setting up the gradient with new colour swatches, starting with a bright blue of 0, 200, 255 in RGB values. It might be necessary to change the colour mode of the colour panel via the corner menu. Add a new swatch to the gradient and position it at 25%. Give it a darker blue fill of 0, 50, 130. Add another colour at the 50% halfway point and fill it with 150, 0, 100. Add another at 75% and use 255, 00 for a bright red. Then give the last swatch a yellow fill with 255, 2550. Set the gradient to 90 degrees to flow vertically, then set the blending mode to multiply in the transparency panel so it only applies to the white text. That's the colourful rainbow text effect complete in Illustrator. But let's move over to Photoshop to finish it off with some texturing to really give it a retro vibe. Select everything, then go to Edit and Copy. Create a new document in Photoshop and paste the artwork. Choose Smart Object from the options. This will retain a link to the original vector design so we can update it if necessary. My retro cover art textures are ideal for giving a design the appearance of an old damaged VHS box. This particular texture is available as a free sample from Spoon Graphics. Open the texture in Photoshop, then go to Select and All, followed by Edit and Copy. Close the image, then go to Edit and Paste to place the texture over the rainbow text effect. Go to Edit and Transform and Scale to fit the texture to the canvas size. I've cropped it slightly so not to include too much of the wear and tear around the edge. Set the blending mode to screen to allow the creases to interact with the artwork underneath. Adding a quick sharpen filter can also help bring out the details. Download my free pack of photocopy textures from Spoon Graphics. Open one up in Photoshop. This time incorporate the shortcuts Command and A, Command and C, Command and W and Command and V to copy across the image in half the time. Use Command and T for transform to scale the texture to fit. Set the blending mode to screen to allow this grainy texture to interact with the artwork too. Alter its appearance with a levels adjustment using Command and L. Move the sliders to balance the overall brightness of the grainy texture. Add one more photocopy texture, but this time use the Command and I shortcut for invert and set the blending mode to multiply. This texture will apply black grain to the coloured areas. Use the levels to adjust how much additional grain you want. One perk of using a Smart Object for the vector text effect is the ability to edit the source artwork. Double click the Vector Smart Object layer thumbnail to open it back up in Illustrator. Make any changes such as alterations to the gradient or edit the text, then save the file. Back in Photoshop, the design will automatically update with the new artwork, all texturing still in place. This colourful text effect looks just like the designs you could find on old VHS tape boxes. Illustrator's Blend Tool makes it easy to recreate such layouts, especially with the extra little easing trick that helps to create unique stacking effects. Then the additions of textures really enhances the retro vibe by simulating decades of wear and tear. If you enjoyed this tutorial or learned any new tips and tricks, a thumbs up on the video would be really appreciated. Stick around for more of my content by subscribing to the channel, and be sure to join my mailing list at Spoon Graphics to download all my free design resources. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.